Xbox responds to the drama.
Well, here we are in diss track number 4. How far will Maddie go? That's really up to Xbox to decide, because I thought we were done yesterday. 3 Xbox videos in a row. We covered the fallout of the situation, all of the leaks from the situation. Kind of thought that was it. And the reason I thought Xbox was going to go into hiding is because there's no way you can put a good spin on any of these events. We've seen through those.
He is right. If you think all of these events are blanketly bad, then there's probably nothing that can be said to actually change your mind at this point. That is true.
Leaks, the internal strife, the debate, the uncertainty, and most certainly the desperation to survive from Xbox. And there's just no way you can spin, we're trying to appease shareholders and also stay alive here, into something positive for gamers, into something positive for Xbox fans. There's just no way you can do that. So I was under the assumption that there's no way Microsoft is dumb enough to let one of their gaming execs step out onto a stage and talk about this current situation, let alone that one of these execs would ever want to do that. But here we have in today's video, Sarah Bond, who sat down with Dina Bass of Bloomberg.
Sarah Bond, president of Xbox? Microsoft, I'm assuming that means at Microsoft, that's how the title works. Is this a diversity hire? Now I have to say, this is a pretty damn hot diversity hire, and the hotter they are, the more talented they obviously are. Probably needs a lower cut, but you know, I will accept this. I will accept this diversity hire for sure.
To talk about everything that's going on right now, to talk about gaming getting more expensive and failing to grow, to talk about why is Tango Gameworks shut down, to talk about these shuttered studios and why Xbox fans should have faith, to talk about Activision games coming to Game Pass.
When people are talking about gaming failing to grow in the business side of things, they mean in the years of the pandemic and lockdowns, a pretty bad thing happened. I have talked about this multiple times, but a line go up is not a meme. It needs to do, and every company is striving to do it. But a line go up means that it needs to gradually increase. You know, your 10, 20-ish% year stability and all of that jazz. But line cannot go up like this, because when line goes up like this, it will inevitably fall. And that's the problem. Line can never go down. And this is what they mean typically when they say, oh, gaming's stagnating in the last couple of years. Yes, because everything has normalized. The act of God is over. And finally, I get to use the term act of God. That's a real term in business and in insurance. In insurance, acts of God are things that no one can predict. So sudden tsunamis, earthquakes, and stuff like that, effectively. And in business, acts of God are, well, stuff like this. No one can account for it. Pretty much the same thing. Just something happens and it completely changes the market. No one saw it coming out of the blue, and overnight everything is different. And that is it. And no one likes these situations because they're bad, because the line will drop. And when it's dropping, well, guess who's not happy?
The right questions were asked, and this is the funny part about interviews. A lot of people always say, like, Maddie, I wish you could interview like Todd Howard, XYZ. The reality is that you can get the right interview targets, but as you will see here, it doesn't matter who you get. If they are PR trained and they got all those answers prepped and ready to go, you can push every...
PR trained doesn't mean you have answers ready to go. Well, you probably do because you're not an idiot, most likely. But PR trained just effectively means you get asked what's the current time where we're sitting, and the person starts slowly pulls the conversation into how the weather is pretty good right now. They just dodge the questions and change the subjects without really answering questions. That is what PR trained really is.
Every button, you can ask every single right question. You're just not going to get the best answers. And this is a perfect example of that, because these are some of the most PR coded, horrible attempts at a positive spin on an awful situation I've seen. And I hate to see that it's Sarah Bond, because she was one of the people that I was really happy to see rising up the ranks in Xbox. And to throw her to the wolves here when I think this should have been like mad.
Erratic blinking. Now, we don't have a baseline for her, at least I don't. But erratic blinking is typically associated with lying.
Booty or Phil Spencer, that's a damn shame on its own. For now, we're going to take a look at various clips throughout this interview. I'll have it fully linked down below, but we're going to cover every highlight of it. It's only like a 15-minute listen if you're curious, but we're really going to go through the majority of it here. So let's start off at the top. Gaming's not doing well. What can Xbox do to turn it around? Here's Sarah Bond's response.
Yeah, the last year or so in video games, largely the industry's been flat. And even in 2023, we saw just some tremendous releases, tremendously groundbreaking games, but still
that random smile in between groundbreaking games. Oh yeah, she does not believe a single word that she's saying.
The growth didn't follow all of that. And a lot of that's related to our need to bring new players in, make gaming more accessible, but all of that has been happening at the same time that the cost associated with making these beautiful AAA blockbuster games is going up, and the time.
Yeah, oh my lord, she does not believe a single word she's saying. Man, I love executives, because typically they don't know anything what's actually happening. You think she has ever even had an Xbox controller in her hands? Hell nah, boy! The only thing she should have in her hands is is it too early? It's not 7 minutes even. My schlong! That's right, baby, that's it.
It takes to make them is going up. And so much of our focus as Xbox is about how we do things to help the industry all up, while also ensuring.
Oh yeah, she's just running circles here.
That our brand, everything that we do is there through this moment of transition.
Now, I know we have games like Hi-Fi Rush and Redfall on our minds.
Man, you can tell. I mean, you don't even need to probably have experience here to tell that there are points where she just becomes extremely erratic with the blinking, with the facial animations, and when it's normal things that are everyday sentences, she kind of calms down. Wow. Impressive.
Our minds when she's talking about how we had these tremendous releases and they didn't really move things forward. To me, this is an admission that Starfield also failed to move things forward. We already knew it failed to move.
Who actually thought that Starfield was a success? No one.
Move Game Pass forward, but to kind of see that even revenue didn't move forward is, again, I think underlining how bad Game Pass is for the sales of their games, where I'm imagining with the amount of players and hype that Starfield had, could have moved the needle for them, but their own ecosystem, their own economy.
Hell no. Before Starfield even launched, there were a ton of videos talking about how bad it is. I didn't go fully into Starfield at that point, but I made a couple of them because Starfield looked bad from the trailers. 1 second cuts from combat and stuff, pretty boring. The same locations, glitching through walls. It was all visible there. And at that time, when Starfield was still not accepted as an absolute failure because people had hope, those videos roughly had a 50% like to dislike ratio, which means that the fact that it wasn't like 99% dislike means that people even then didn't have honestly high hopes for Starfield because it just looked bad. And when Starfield came out, almost no one even tried to argue that it's a complete disaster.
It's hurting them deeply. She also gave us the same rigmarole that we've heard in 1,000,001 different interviews, which is gaming is this small. However, budgets are this big and timelines are getting this big and everything's growing except the base there. And the answer for these execs has been, well, let's smash down every wall. Let's start doing multi-platform releases. And I'm of the mindset that, hey, even if you got your PlayStation games on Ouya, you got your Nintendo games on Xbox, you got your Xbox games on smartphones, whatever it may be, you can break down all of those walls, but that final wall will still be standing at the end of it all. You will still have to go back to the drawing board and reorient how you spend money on these projects. It's the budget and the timelines that are not sustainable. We need to do a deep case study of the Xbox 360 PS3 era. Look at what worked there, where you had fantastic games that didn't chew up all of your time, made in a reasonable amount of time. Again, I always go back to Uncharted. A whole trilogy delivered an entire generation. Do you hear about that now? Look at Final Fantasy VII. I love Remake, I love Rebirth, but we're probably going to get the next entry of that by the end of the PS5, maybe the PS6. We're getting full series across multiple generations now. And by the way, Final Fantasy VII being an example of something quick. We need to go back to the drawing board and make games smaller, make them tighter, because even if you grow gaming, you're going to scale the budget and the timelines to that audience and again hit that wall, and then there's going to be no...
I mean, I kind of agree, but this is a super tricky subject because a lot of old games that are even considered classics at this point, there's a reason why people don't replay them. Well, at least the majority of people don't replay them. It's because nowadays gaming is way more advanced. Gamers by definition require better systems, better everything, better this, better that. So a lot of old games that were considered cult classics, well, are considered classics at this point, would probably not withstand the test of time if they got released from, the memory of people and reintroduced in the current time. They would probably not withstand that.
No room to grow. You have to reorient how a game is made now, not down.
And also, a lot of those old games were like, 5 hours long in some cases? 10 hours long? Now, if you have a AAA game that's, less than 10 hours long, people want to go on the lynching stand and demand blood.
Down the stretch, when we have instead of 25 million console users, we have instead hundreds of millions of users who could potentially buy our games because our platform is available on every device imaginable. I just don't think it's going to pan out the way they are thinking it's going to, and I think it'll lead to a crash of some kind. Especially if you take a look at how...
I like that idea. I don't like this exclusivity thing. Oh, an Xbox game's only on Xbox. Like, why? Why does that honestly matter that much? Aren't you as a gamer supposed to be more happy that you can play, PlayStation games on Xbox, vice versa, and so on and so on? Shouldn't we all be happy about that these walls get broken? I mean, it sounds good to me.
Hi-Fi Rush, a success now deemed failure. This is a game that hit about 3 million players through Game Pass. Let's say that they were floating around the 25 million subscriber mark because this game came out before we got that new milestone mark of 33 million. Ladies and gentlemen, not even a quarter of the Game Pass base was interested in this super surprising, high-quality gem. That's not a dig on the game, but the reality is that ratio is not going to shift just because you get more people involved. If anything, more games are just going to float down to the bottom, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, I don't want to spin my wheels on this too much because the real fascinating answers are coming up right now. So,
okay, that was horrible.
How should Xbox gamers interpret these closures is what Dina asked Sarah. Here's her response.
I'll go back to what I was saying about the industry. And when we looked at those fundamental trends, we feel a deep responsibility to ensure that the games we make, the devices we build.
The moment she starts talking about to ensure the games, the blinking starts the erratic movement. Holy, this is good.
Services that we offer are there through moments, even when the industry isn't growing and when you're through a time of transition. And the news we announced earlier this week is an outcome of that. And our commitment to make sure that the business is healthy for the long term. But that said, our commitment to having our own studios and working with partners to have games large and small. We're a platform where you can play GTA, but you can also play Power World.
Oh, she's a mom, boys. Abort mission. Abort mission.
Where you can play Call of Duty and you can also play Pentiment. That doesn't change. And frankly, our commitment to Bethesda and the role that it plays is part of Xbox in everything we do. It's actually been pretty fantastic. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to check it out. The Fallout TV show was on Amazon, And it's been great to see people fall in love with that universe, but also
See, this is a positive thing. Notice the positive thing how she's talking about, because she knows this is a positive thing. She understands what is a TV show. She understands that it actually was a hit, a success out of nowhere. And just look at her.
the Fallout TV show was on Amazon.
You can actually see an almost completely genuine smile there.
And it's
No erratic blinking. She's not moving her head like a spastic.
been great to see people fall in love with that universe, but also what it's done
Look at this. She's not moving her hands like she's autistic.
for the games themselves.
She actually even has eye contact with the person for once. Holy! And by the way, body language, faces aren't good. You're not actually supposed to look at the face. The face is tricky. The face requires a huge amount of baseline knowledge, and it's deceptive. It is really deceptive. You're supposed to actually look at the shoulders, feet, arms, legs, and all of that thing. Are they tweedling something, or stuff like that? But man, in this case, it's so clear cut. The moment she actually talks about something that she believes in, the moment it's not BS, it just shines through so wildly. And this is her actual smile, and this is her being happy. Wow.
And people going back and exploring everything that's inside of that. There's some other great things that are coming from our studios later this year.
And look at that. The moment she says, other great things coming from our studios, instantaneously, the erratic blinking is back. Holy!
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I was a big indie fan growing up.
She's not lying about that. She was an indie fan, it seems like.
Looks like you were too.
Yeah, okay, this is again genuine. Man, again, I think everyone can actually understand when it's genuine and not genuine.
So you should check that out.
Yeah, you should check that out. And instantaneously, yeah, you should check that. So she actually likes Indiana Jones, but this shit, she doesn't even believe it's gonna be good. Oh my lord, this is not good.
But really, right
Amazing.
now for us and our teams, our focus is on the people
For us, the million yard stare boys.
impacted, and doing everything that we can do to help them through this hard transition.
I don't know if my media
that's true, it
literacy
seems
is
like.
outright
Okay.
garbage here. I listened back to this section 4 times just to be like, am I understanding what she's saying is right? So, hey, these are these closures that are happening. What should Xbox fans feel right now? And Sarah proceeds to say that, well, we have a deep responsibility to ensure that games and services and hardware remain through this time of transition and growth. And so we shut down these studios, which to me says, hey, we're trying to save money to make these things continue to work. But wouldn't you want...
We talked about this. This is completely the wrong opinion. Again, there are business... these are basic things in business that should be understood. If you don't, I'm not gonna repeat myself for the third time. Go watch the previous video.
Want to reorient and change how the economy of your ecosystem works? Wouldn't that be priority number 1, or is that
No.
too catastrophic for you to do? And know what she left out there. It's their responsibility to make sure games, services, and devices are always available. What about the creators? This is what I'm talking about. They
What
can
about
say
the
all day on
creators?
camera the care there is for developers, but I'm not seeing it. Especially when afterwards you try to take this falsified victory lap on things like the Fallout TV show. You weren't involved in that. It's the same thing Xbox did with Modern Warfare 3's release. It came out and they're like, yeah, it's doing great for us. For us, bro, they just joined the team. You weren't there for the whole entire development cycle, and that game was sent out to die, basically. It was awful. So just like, this is what Xbox has been doing, and people have been cheering them on for so.
Xbox was most likely the only reason the Fallout TV show happened. Because, yeah, I doubt that Todd Howard approved of it. I doubt that it's just a magical coincidence that Xbox approved the Halo TV show also at the same time, while Todd Howard is saying, well, if it's good, then it's good, but I haven't done it a single time, and then Xbox comes in and suddenly there's a TV show. I doubt that this is coincidence. I think the reason that there is a Fallout TV show is only because of Microsoft.
Long with these weird victory laps that they had no attachment to, but now it's flying right in their face. The next answer, though, is the most fascinating one. Tango Gameworks. That's the one people are most angry about that had been closed down. Here's what Sarah Bond had to say about it getting shut down.
You know, one of the things I really...
Nope. She is leg.
You know, one of the...
Yeah, that's not good. She, at the bare minimum, she's stressed.
Things I really love about the games industry is it's a creative art form. And it means that the situation and what success is for each game and studio is also really unique. Like, there's no one size fits all to it for us. And so we look at each studio.
Yeah, that was not good.
Each game team, and we look at a whole variety of factors when we're faced with sort of making decisions and trade-offs like that. But it all comes back to our...
She's not lying. She's just reluctant about this. She just doesn't want to speak.
Long-term commitment to the games we create, the devices we build, the services, and ensuring that we're setting ourselves up to be able to deliver on those promises.
So I know it's considered kind of tasteless and weird to break down body mannerisms in an interview, but...
It's not tasteless and weird at all. There's a whole fucking science behind that shit. Tasteless and weird. I have been doing that for a long time, buddy boo. Also, again, no.
Sarah Bond had that pit in her stomach moment, no doubt. The rapid blinking, the wrinkling up of her face at the start of the answer, hard swallowing in the middle of the answer, the 1,000-yard stare. Like, it was all there where panic set in when that question was asked.
I mean, that's pretty sad that even Matthew can see this, honestly. I'm feeling a little bit bad about myself now.
That's like, oh God, there's no good answer for this. And whether it was because PR told her, this is what you're going to say, and if you want to keep your job, you better go out there and say that, or she wanted to say something different, or she was just terrified of the blowback.
That's stupid, because PR, first of all, PR has absolutely no say what she does. Okay? PR, if someone at PR said, hey, Sarah, you now do this, she would probably, like, fired, asshole, and that would kind of be it. Okay? Everything he just said is completely random, wrong, and just does not work like that at all.
Whatever it may be, that bodily reaction told me everything I need to know about the situation without her even uttering a word. When you were asked about a studio closing and your answer is, I love that gaming is a creative art form and there's no one size fits all for success, you're trying to tell us at the end of the day that Tango Gameworks made a successful game. According to your own staff, the VP of marketing at Xbox, it was a success in all.
A successful game doesn't mean it has a future. A successful game sales-wise doesn't mean that it actually has value or merit. Yes, it overperformed in sales. It got like 700k sales or something like that, right? But it didn't actually do anything in Japan. It wasn't useful there, and that was the primary reason why they even had this. When you hear about this and you think about, wait a minute, this is just what an anime is supposed to look like in the eyes of a 60-year-old boomer from America. Yeah, so this was designed to actually appease to Japan and get a market share there. And it failed at that. It doesn't matter if it sells more. This is a failed project. It performed well on metrics, but it didn't perform well on the metrics that it was supposed to perform well on. There is a difference. There are projects that win, that are objectively success, but they do not actually do a specific thing that was required for it to be developed further or whatever. And this is the situation. It's simple.
All areas. And you're telling me there's different measurements of success so that even a success, which Dina mentioned, like, hey, it won awards, it had great engagement in Game Pass, there was everything there to suggest it was a positive. Why did this studio still get shut down? And you're like, well, there's all different measures of success, and even a success means that it's not a success. What? It makes no sense. This is why I'm saying, like, you could not get on camera and try to make any sense of this at all. It goes back to delivering on long-term promises. One of your long-term promises was to ensure that these smaller teams could trust an Xbox to make the small games that they wanted to make, and it would feed Game Pass. But now all of a sudden you bring in...
I mean, it's still doing it. that promise is being kept. No one said anything about actually not, getting deleted after you achieve that goal.
Activision, which completely destabilized your entire business, and you didn't even run the numbers on that clearly, because it has wrecked studios in the meantime and has put others like Obsidian, Compulsion, etc. on notice. Ninja Theory especially on notice.
Wait, did that second woman tackle him?
On notice. Ninja Theory especially on
I can't tell.
notice. It's an unbelievable non-answer here. A couple other things she talked about was that there's no data for Xbox games on PlayStation, but they're really encouraged by the reception. This is run-of-the-mill for Xbox, and it was something that we've talked a lot about over on Last Stand.
Oh, BS. Are you gonna tell me now that they have a deal that they give games to PlayStation and PlayStation refuses to share the sales numbers? Are you kidding me? Do they get paid in peanuts? Bruh, there is data. There is data. There's probably some poor internet PlayStation making a weekly report and sending it over to some dude at Xbox who doesn't care every single week or a couple of days or on demand maybe.
And on how Xbox's lack of numbers when it comes to sales figures, it's always like percentages. We never really know how a game does, ever. We just have to trust that it might be doing well because they're trying to feed all the information through their execs. That worked for a long while. Even at times they fooled me, I'm not gonna lie. But now those times are over, and so I'm curious if there's any adjustments there, but I doubt there ever will be. So we have no idea how...
Wait, this is Sea of Thieves, right? Wow, it looks so different than what I remember.
Xbox games are doing on PlayStation, other than Satya Nadella saying, hey, there's 7 Xbox games in the top 25 on PlayStation this month. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're selling like hotcakes. That's just the assumption.
Oh,
Tara
yeah,
also talked a bit
Thieves.
about game preservation and taking things forward, presumably for the next generation, almost like smart delivery, I would think. But this was when she was asked about concern for Xbox, and she claims that it's the entire industry and not just them. This is a really easy answer to spin off because so many...
This is not a spin-off. We know that PlayStation a year ago was concerned about Xbox because PlayStation said themselves, we have no games. Like, everyone is concerned about everything because of what has happened in the past couple of years. And they have reasons to be concerned. Now, admittedly, is it dying? No. Is anyone actually in danger of anything? Probably no. I mean, anything can happen, yes, at the end of the day. Hey, this video could come out and Xbox could be underwater. Who knows? But probably not, Probably not. Why is Xbox concerned about PlayStation winning if less than a year ago PlayStation was concerned about Xbox winning? It just doesn't make sense. That it's crazy.
Many fanboys on Twitter have really been saying this about all their companies. When PlayStation went through a bunch of layoffs at Bungie, there was that same sort of level of defense. When Xbox did all those layoffs, this was the same level of defense. It's the entire industry, and yeah, it's awful, but it also requires accountability.
I mean, if we're talking about consoles, you have PlayStation and Xbox, and both of them do the same thing. Then you could easily argue, yeah, it's the whole industry.
And answers, because the reasoning we've originally been told is pretty much, hey, we overhired during COVID and we didn't anticipate it falling off, which is the most mind-boggling thing ever, that we all thought we'd be inside forever, so we hired a...
Yes, again, this is like, this is completely different videos, but I have talked about this again. You're in a big business, line goes up like this, no one is ever gonna allow you to assume that line goes down like that the next year. Okay? No one. That is not a budget that's going to be approved by the board. That is not going to be something you talk about, and you're supposed to push it even further now. This is why line go up like this is really bad. Because there is no adjustment. Because imagine, Xbox, after a groundbreaking record year of sales and profit, announces that their sales and profit is going to dip down 30% or something like that. Bro, their stock prices would plummet. It would be chaos. The CEO would be fired for just announcing something like this. Again, big businesses have the problem of, being publicly traded. That is a seriously big problem that stifles innovation in a lot.
According to that with remote work. Anyway, we learned about an Xbox mobile store. So let's hear Sarah talk about that very fun thing.
And so in July, we are going to be launching our mobile store experience.
Okay.
We're going to start actually by bringing our own first-party portfolio to that. So you're going to see games like Candy Crush show up.
She's just slightly worried about saying that. Well, not worried about saying that, but she's worried that it's not going to be great.
Up in that experience, games like Minecraft. And then we're going to extend that capability.
Do you think she knows what Minecraft is?
To partners so that they can also take advantage of it and have a true cross-platform gaming-centric mobile experience. We're going to start on the web, and we're doing that because that really allows us to have it be an experience that's accessible across all devices, all countries, no matter what, independent of the policies of, closed ecosystem stores. And then we're going to extend from there. So I'm excited about it just because it's something that we've wanted to do for a long time. We've heard gamers talking about it for a long time, and we're now at the point where we can take those steps.
You know what's so funny about this? They're launching it in July, right? And they talked about like Candy Crush, Call of Duty Mobile, Minecraft. It's all going to be here. Man, they just shut down a mobile studio that could have been putting games right in this storefront. Like, I don't understand how you launch a mobile store and shut down one of the few mobile game developers you own. I get Candy Crush makes big bucks. I get Call of Duty Mobile makes big bucks. Minecraft makes big bucks. But you're telling me that Alpha Dog just wasn't making anything, or you couldn't throw an IP their way? Like, you had a mobile game studio.
I have no idea who Alpha Dog are.
For your new mobile storefront, and you shut them down. It's just like baffling logic. She mentions this is across.
It's not baffling logic. I also kind of feel done unless we see hot mommy diversity higher. Not seeing it. But anyway, okay. Let me explain the most simplest way why you actually shut down a company like that. Okay, so you got a mobile game developer, and you want to make mobile games, right? Makes sense. Why would you shut them down, right, you ask? But what if that mobile game developer makes puzzle games? But you want Call of Duty Mobile 2.0. Are you gonna keep them? Are you gonna risk it all with someone who is known for making puzzle games instead of just hiring someone else? Exactly. You're not gonna risk it. There's different genres in gaming. You can't have you can't have Bethesda make a city builder game. Okay, it's probably not gonna work. Hell, they're not even good at what they previously were good. Role-play action games. It's a disgrace. Anyway, that was Mr. Matty Plays. 10 out of 10. Very fun. And now I will explore Sarah's whatever's Instagram account. Have a nice day.